All began in the quiet days leading up to Christmas, during that strange pause when neighborhoods slow down but tensions quietly build beneath the surface. This community was known for its order. Everything looked planned, approved, and sanitized. Lawns were trimmed with near-military precision. Driveways were spotless. Decorations existed, but only in the safest possible way: single-color lights, identical wreaths, nothing that stood out too much. The neighborhood didn't feel festive, it felt regulated. Like joy had to pass inspection before being allowed to exist. I had lived there long enough to understand the unspoken rules, but I never truly belonged to that mindset. For me, Christmas was never meant to be subtle. Growing up, the holidays meant color, sound, laughter, and moments that stuck with you long after the lights came down. Every year I tried to bring a piece of that magic to my home. People drove by slowly. Kids pointed from the back seats of cars. Some neighbors smiled, some pretended not to notice, but I knew it made an impact. That year, though, I decided not to hold back at all. Instead of the usual setup, I went bigger, much bigger. I spent weeks planning every detail. Thousands of lights, advanced controllers, synchronized sequences, and music timed down to fractions of a second. I mapped out the entire front of my house like a stage, making sure every flash, fade, and movement told part of the story. It wasn't random noise, it was a carefully designed experience. I even shared a short preview clip online, mostly for fun. I didn't expect what happened next. The video spread fast. Comments poured in from strangers who said they couldn't wait to see it in person. People tagged friends, shared memories, and talked about making it part of their holiday plans. The excitement felt contagious. For the first time, it seemed like the neighborhood might finally feel alive. But not everyone was smiling. 2 houses down lived Marlene, a woman whose reputation preceded her. She wasn't officially in charge of the HOA, but she acted like its enforcer. She knew every rule, every loophole, and every fine. If a trash bin stayed out too long, she noticed. If a bush grew an inch too high, she reported it. She believed consistency mattered more than community, and my display violated everything she valued. The first night the full show went live, the street transformed. Lights danced across the house. Music floated gently through the air. Families stepped outside, phones already recording. Cars slowed to a crawl. Laughter echoed down the block. And then Marlene appeared. She stood stiffly at the edge of her driveway, arms folded, eyes locked on my house. Her expression wasn't shock, it was offense. She pulled out her phone, took photos, and began typing furiously. Within minutes, complaints were sent. Excessive lighting, noise concerns, visual disruption, non-compliance with neighborhood standards. She wanted it shut down immediately. What she didn't realize was that she had underestimated everyone else. For years, many neighbors had quietly followed the rules out of fear of warnings, fines, or being labeled difficult. Marlene's aggressive response didn't discourage them, it emboldened them. If one house could be targeted for celebrating, then maybe it was time to stop staying quiet. Slowly at first, then all at once, decorations multiplied. One neighbor added inflatables. Another installed colorful lights. Someone else projected snowfall across their garage. Within days, the street began to glow. Each house felt like a small act of rebellion, not out of anger, but out of joy. The HOA tried to step in. Emails were sent reminding residents of guidelines. Notices were drafted. Meetings were scheduled. But the timing couldn't have been worse. Videos of the street were already circulating online. People were calling it the most festive block in the area. Cars lined up every evening. Local pages shared clips. The story shifted from rule violation to community celebration. Marlene doubled down. She walked the street nightly, documenting everything. She confronted neighbors, quoted bylaws, and demanded compliance. But the more she pushed, the more unified the neighborhood became. People who had barely spoken before now stood together, chatting, laughing, sharing snacks with visitors. Kids ran between houses. Strangers waved from sidewalks. The street felt alive in a way it never had. I continued expanding my display. New animations, brighter sequences, longer shows. What started as a single house became the unofficial centerpiece of the block. Influencers filmed, families returned multiple nights. Some visitors even brought donations for local charities inspired by the atmosphere. Then came the turning point. A drone video captured the entire street from above, every house glowing, perfectly synchronized by accident rather than planning. The footage went viral. Comments poured in praising the neighborhood's spirit. Marlene's role in trying to stop it became public knowledge, and public opinion was not on her side. The HOA panicked. Enforcing rules now would mean confronting dozens of homeowners at once and risking public backlash. Meetings ended with no decisions. Legal language replaced firm warnings. Silence replaced authority. On the final night before Christmas, the street reached its peak. Lights pulsed together. Music echoed softly across the block. Snow machines fired. Projections danced across walls. Crowds gathered, cheering as sequences played. Marlene stood alone, arms crossed, watching something she could no longer control. When the final moment arrived, every display lit up together. A massive Santa appeared, waving and wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. Applause filled the air, phones captured every second. No fines followed, no punishments came. The HOA quietly stepped back. And something permanent had changed. The next year, people decorated without fear. The year after that, it became tradition. Bigger displays, better coordination. A neighborhood once defined by rules became known for joy. All because one person tried to control Christmas and reminded everyone else why it mattered.